To understand the site in a better way, we started with the history and evolution of the site. We also came up with the mapping, analyzed all this, designed our own design strategies and structure plan, which then has our design interventions. A street is the basic unit of urban space through which people experience a city. They are like outdoor rooms shaped by multiple planes, the ground plane at the bottom, the buildings and the roadbed edges as the side planes, and the canopy planes like the ceiling of the room. Each plane is constructed of many individual elements that are often regulated or created by a range of different policies, codes, guidelines, and building practices. The aim of the studio is to study, research, and understand the role of street and pathways in an urban fabric. Identifying and analyzing the use and importance, how the streets and pathways create an impact on the surrounding area. The objectives were to understand the working on a busy street with the existing urban fabric, analyze the street and pathways which impacted the structure and vice versa, researching and studying all the layers of the urban fabric, understanding and identifying the problems and needs of the site and providing the solutions to the same. The given site is in Nasik, which is in the core city. It starts from Damodar Theatre to Sarda Circle. It is a linkage between the old city and the new city. Earlier it was a highway. Here we can see the street starts at the Damodar Theatre, which is a commercial hub. Next we have a market. From market we see to Abdullah Hussain Chowk. This is a very important node on the site, which then connects to slaughterhouse and the market area. Where we come down from that, there is a primary school, and also we have Mughal Darbar and Bombay Sweets, which are the pick points at the Abdullah Hussain Chowk. This visual documentation tells us that the whole area is a commercial hub which deliberately attracts the tourist and also the localites. Tram service started in Nasik in 1889 during British rule. Two cabins used to get pulled by four horses. It ran on Nasik's route for almost 27 years and later the horses got replaced by petrol engines. While it ran on diesel engines in other cities, petrol engines were in first in Nasik. For almost 44 years, it served the people of Nasik. It was closed between 1931 and 1933. The tram was removed and then came a bus stand since number of visitors of the site started increasing. The activities on road edges started increasing due to which led to decrease in usable road width. Due to this bus stands were removed. When theatres came into existence, lodges were built. The road around Vijayanand Theatre and Damodar Theatre were called as Relief Road as visitors came to watch drama and the space acted as an entertainment hub. Famous eateries like Sayantara and Buddha Halwai, Raut Soda became famous for that time. The footfall of visitors started increasing in this area. The socio-cultural layer in community mapping helps us to understand the evolution of a city. It explains the character and nature of the news in urban space and people from communities, which lead to different socio-cultural aspects to form urban comfort. In case of existing scenario, formation of communities tells us about the change in character, the layer of urban fabric as religion, architecture, and politics to study all the layers. Social gatherings helps in interaction among the diversity of individuals of all abilities in large, medium and small groups of social and community purpose. Religion gatherings helps us to identify the significance community cohesion around which urban residences lives revolve. Religious architecture and cultural heritage constitutes unique role as it is visible for long time and transportation. Site surrounds major highways which connect major cities like Mumbai and Pune. Therefore, in the site we can see developments along the road. National Highway connecting the Mumbai-Agra and can also be seen along the site. Road hierarchy. In this we can see there are primary and secondary roads in our site. The primary road has more commercial value and also major pedestrian movement can be seen. This roads highlights the interdependency on each other. Talking about nodes, two major nodes of Sayantara and Sarda circle are present in our site. On Sayantara node, we can see heavy traffic and pedestrian movement as it is one of the most famous eatery of Nasik. The Sarda circle also have heavy traffic as it contains the major road connecting the highways. At Sarda circle, pedestrian movement is less and traffic is more. Public transportation. Majorly the transportation is on the primary road. Most we can see auto rickshaws on this road. So we can also see number of auto rickshaw stands are more on the road. Bus stops can only be seen on Sarda Circle and Ganjamal area. Cluster of different levels is a miscellaneous combination of different levels next to each other. So building heights play in a such a way that streets are overshadowed by the buildings itself. Building age and condition mapping shows the ratio of new and old building on the existing site. Building height mapping help us in our proposal that how we can need to restrict ourselves in height of given structure to maintain our existing area language. Built and unbuilt mapping allows us to understand the relationship between the solid mass and open areas in a city, whereas knowledge plan mapping allows us to understand the excesses in public spaces. Talking about the strengths and weaknesses of the area on a macro level, previously the site was a main highway, so it was accessible from all the directions. Now it is existing commercial hub which fulfills the basic requirements of the people. Also, the nodes of the Damodar Circle and Sarda Circle has auto rickshaw stands which helps the public to move from one place to another. The street has specific informal language which makes it different than others. The weaknesses are there are no open spaces available. There are no proper vehicular and pedestrian distributions. The streets are narrow, hence it creates chaos. A mobility around the site is properly designed. The opportunities and threats on the macro level are we can re-identify the Damodar theatre, work opportunity due to large number of commercial spaces. The site has its own historical background, which hence attracts this tourist. More pedestrian activity will increase the footfall on the site. The threats would be due to the existing structure rise. It is creating urban heat. Chances of own buildings getting collapsed. Uh, Due to the narrow streets, there are problems or trafficking. The ground floor areas are only activated, whereas further the first floors and above are deactivated. Talking about the SWOT analysis of a community space, strengths are it is available for daily necessity goods. The area is used for parking. Services are as undefined spaces for festivals of different religions. Major impact on the whole site and increases the footfall every time. Similarly, there are weaknesses. There is an existing pumping station there. So existing public toilet creates an undefined dumping area which affects the surrounding context. Undefined land use for community activities. Function of the site demands more spaces. Opportunity to work on the community spaces and existing but a community space can be redesigned, multifunctional space can be created, establishing a correlative climate through the urbanism. Pedestrian interaction space will lead to enhance the surrounding areas too. The threats are restrictions due to religious activities, existing pipelines due to pumping station, lack of defined entrances, and small area in context with the activity required there. SWOT analysis of slaughterhouse and Fulham market. Strengths are economically important. It is an institutional built structure. Historical significance as it has been there since decades creates work opportunities. Weaknesses are improper utilization of space due to roads. creates disturbance for school and connectivity. Dark and dense areas, it has an insufficient parking. Opportunities to work on that area is multifunctional and sustainable space can be created. Extension of police station and school could be provided. Recreational space with activity that attracts youth can be created. Create more work opportunity. The threats similarly are as there are residents around, it causes diseases. Creates disturbance for the school and the connectivity areas. It has unplanned spaces that acts as an attraction for unethical activities. Has bad impact on the institutional structures nearby. Last but not the least, talking about the Damodar Theatre node. Its strengths are it is a prime location which has various commercial activities. It is one of the historic area of Nasik as it connects the old and new Nasik. There are different types of eateries. Oldest theatre has been built in that area. The weaknesses are area restriction. There is a huge number of pedestrian and vehicular traffic. There is a dense built up area and has a less vegetation. Talking about opportunities for the same, we can re-identify Damodar Theatre. Entertainment resources can be provided, promoted theatres and attract people around, um, extend as an institutional space. The threats are due to existing structure, there is rise in urban heat. Also, there are chances of collapsing, less circulation space due to addition of new commercial shops in the frontages of the buildings. The historical building leads to an structure which loses its significance. The structure plan shows us the design interventions we have planned to redefine the identity of the site and make it more inviting for the people. The interventions include major contribution to the built structure and public interaction spaces in order to give a better urban environment. There was a pair of two working together. Then we started segregation into two groups where we as a pair identified issues and came up with the intervention as a team. After that, the intervention had two built spaces proposed by two individuals, but the task was to design it considerably by responding in a different way, but had same readings for building it. Interaction of built form was to bring functional homogeneity to site through streetscapes and built and unbuilt spaces. Campus planning here contributed in making multiple space homogeneous with incorporation of contextual understanding to it. Increasing the accessibility of secondary streets helped in segregation of public from main street which would allow better vehicular movement. Intervention of community bridge above allowed the reactivation of first floors and crowd segregation as well. Pedestrian friendly street has major impact on surrounding accessibility and promotes activity interaction spaces. Most of the spaces are interlinked with one another for revitalizing functions requirement. Having a ceremonial entrances creates a language to the built up to make it on focus. The streetscape plays important role for accessibility, for transportation and pedestrian movement. For ease of pedestrian nodes are eliminated. Dividers are added for segregation of vehicular traffic and for street to remain in shade. One of the factors affecting Mother Nature is the increase of urban heat. Hence, to contribute for its reduction, improvements have been made like permeable pavement blocks which cools the temperature of the urban runoff. And also by reducing the thermal mass of the built space and addition of green covers to the streetscapes. Provision of footpaths to the sideways and adding benches for sitting with roof above along with solar panels above to supply electricity to the lamp post and surrounding. Considerations for creating defined enclosed space in urban area which were integrating interaction spaces on the site into existing urban structure. Second is making spaces more interesting and comfortable as much as possible. Third is achieving a relationship between the space and the people who live in and this creates a sense of identity. Now these are the 3D views of pedestrian friendly neighborhood street and the main street, that is Damodar Street. These were our 9 proposals. First is transportation hub, the primary school, recreational space, restoration of market, hotel and recreational space, identity reformation of Mughal Darbar, shopping plaza, redevelopment of market, and the entertainment hub. So these design strategies and interventions were planned to promote and enrich pedestrian experience and taken further for our planning. The proposed master plan encouraged accessibility oriented and functional planning. After consideration, if the issues we came up with 8 interventions and each intervention with 2 proposals, which were transportation hub, primary school and pedestrian friendly neighborhood, restoration of market and creation space, hotel and recreational spaces, identity reformation of Mughal Darbar, shopping plaza and community space, redevelopment of market and recreational hub, entertainment hub.